Why is our food going bad so fast? And rice issues and rice shortages spreading? Like, how's the rice supply where you guys are at? Because I'm getting a whole lot of reports from all over, and it's definitely causing an impact on food prices in general. In fact, they're already gathering grocery CEOs in Canada to work on stabilizing food prices. Check it out.
Some in here are feeling the crunch.
It's an image the government wants Canadians to see.
We're hoping for a productive meeting. Thank you.
The CEOs of Canada's grocery giants called into the industry minister's office to address the rising cost of food.
Our government is going to do everything in our power to make sure prices stabilize.
After sinking in the polls this summer, the government's now targeting the country's 5 largest grocery chains, demanding they come up with a plan by Thanksgiving. The Prime Minister spoke to Front Burner's Jamie Poisson about it.
What kind of plan do you want from them? Do you want them to tell you that they're going to bring grocery prices down, or do you want them to just stabilize prices?
I think stabilizing is the first good thing, but seeing prices come down would be even better.
Now, something me and my friends have noticed recently is that food spoiling has definitely gone faster. Sometimes I make rice and it's just like the rice is not even good after like 3 or 4 days, kind of gets gooey. I don't even understand it. Maybe it's just me. We used to also be able to open up like a can of carrots and put it in the refrigerator, and it might last, weeks, maybe a week and a half. Now it only lasts about 4 days. Another thing that my friends mentioned is that they open up a can of either string beans or carrots, and there's more water than vegetables in the can. And of course the price is higher, but it seems we're buying more water than vegetables. And this is coming from people living in Florida. And the fact that they're actually noticing the same thing, it gives me a pause. Now, let me tell you guys, a shortage of certain supplies can have a significant impact in the quality and the shelf life of canned food. Canned food production relies on a variety of ingredients, packaging materials, and quality control measures. Now, when shortages occur in these critical areas, it could lead to several problems. So first, the scarcity of quality ingredients. It might force manufacturers to use lower grade substitutes, affecting the overall quality and taste and the nutritional value of the canned products. Second, a lack of packaging materials like tin or plastic could result in subpar packaging, which of course fails to provide the necessary protection against oxygen and moisture, ultimately accelerating the food spoilage. And third, the disruptions in the supply of essential canning supplies such as preservatives can compromise the effectiveness of the food preservation process, which lets harmful microorganisms get into your canned food. Not good. Plus, shortages can lead to lapses in quality control since manufacturers may be cutting corners in order to meet demand. That way you get defective or leaky cans that allow air and contaminants to enter, and that of course compromises the food's quality, not to mention its safety. Then of course you have disruptions in distribution and transportation due to fuel shortages or packaging material scarcity that can expose canned goods to unfavorable changes in temperature and outright physical damage, making them all the more susceptible to spoilage. Overall, a shortage of critical supplies in the canned food industry can really create a chain reaction of issues that undermine the quality, the shelf life, and the safety of these products. And that might be exactly what we're seeing in food today. I stopped buying lunch meat and bagged salad because a pattern of it going bad from different stores over time, I realized it just wasn't a one-time thing. I just can't risk throwing money away on food like that. Y'all know what I'm saying? Are you noticing the same thing where you're at? Let's definitely stick together. Keep these updates coming, and don't forget to stay subscribed to the channel, and also make sure your notification bell is turned on. You don't want to miss the next updates that could make or break our country, not to mention our wallets. But seriously guys, I just want to thank you guys so much for sticking around. I appreciate your support. I know a lot of you guys always take the time to hit the like button and to also show your support for the channel, so I totally appreciate that. But yeah, so since we've been noticing food spoilage getting worse these days, I thought that we would just take a moment to kind of talk about how to keep our food fresh, especially produce. Now you might be surprised, it's not always in the fridge that some produce should be kept. But first things first, it's all about starting fresh, right? Like when it comes to picking your fruits and your veggies, going for one of the freshest ones is your ticket to making sure that they last longer in the kitchen. You're gonna wanna listen to the experts on this one. For leafy greens, look out for those rich, vibrant colors and steer clear of any limp or yellowing leaves. Those are signs that they've seen better days. And when you're eyeballing root vegetables like cabbages, squash, and onions, give them a little heft test. They should feel nice and weighty for their size. And make sure that there's no weird blemishes or soft spots. Now, if you're doing the grocery delivery thing, you might not necessarily have the total control over the produce quality, but you can still be picky about the types that you choose to make them last longer. Now, about storage, it's all about the big three: temperature, ethylene, and airflow. Now, some of your produce are chill with hanging out in the fridge, but others like potatoes, onions, and garlic, they prefer room temperature. Then, of course, there's a little something called ethylene gas. Think of it as a fast forward button for the ripening and even spoiling. Some fruits like apples and bananas naturally give off this gas. Certain produce can't stand it, like cabbage, leafy greens, lettuce, and broccoli. So it's best to keep the ethylene sensitive food away from the gas emitting ones. Plus, you got some fruits and vegetables that prefer hanging out in room temperature. They especially don't like plastic bags if you want to keep them fresh. Well, so here's the deal. They like a little bit of fresh air. Those plastic bags, they're like the enemy of freshness. Even if the bananas, potatoes, or onions you bought came in a perforated plastic bag, they will actually last longer if you take them out and let them breathe. Now, when it comes to the fridge, most produce there prefers to be tucked in snugly. Ziploc plastic bags, those reusable silicone pouches, or containers with tight-fitting lids, they help most refrigerated produce stay fresh longer when you seal them in. They keep the moisture locked in so your stuff doesn't dry out, and they shield sensitive produce from that ethylene gas. You can even repurpose those produce bags from your grocery haul for the job. So produce freshness isn't really one size fits all. It's like a wild card. It depends on temperature, humidity, and how long it's been since harvest. But you know we're all about cutting down on food waste for our wallets and for the planet, right? So here's a rule of thumb. If something looks good, smells, and tastes good, no need to toss it prematurely. But if your gut or your nose says it's a little bit iffy, remember, food safety motto: when in doubt, throw it out. Here's a chart. You can print it out and post it in your kitchen as an easy reference. I found it online and I was reading up on this. Definitely could be helpful for you guys. We're going to need all the help we can get, especially with the recent rice shortages. Last month, India, which is the world's largest rice exporter, they announced a ban on exporting non-basmati white rice so that they can try and calm rising prices at home and ensure some food security somewhat. India then followed with more restrictions on its rice exports, including a 20% duty on exports of parboiled rice. So now it's triggered fears of global food inflation, hurt the livelihoods of some of the farmers, and prompted several more rice-dependent countries to seek urgent exemptions from this ban. Now, just to give you guys an idea, more than 3 billion people worldwide, they rely on rice as a staple food, and India contributed to about 40% of global rice exports. Rice is also one of the most popular grains in the United States, with Americans consuming around 4.8 million metric tons of rice in 2021 and 2022 fiscal years. And this honestly got me thinking, what if the US stops all exports for a while? You know, just get this house in order before prioritizing other countries. I mean, you could say that the countries that have stopped exports are kind of smart. They're trying to take care of their country first. For one, economists say that the ban is just the latest move to disrupt global food supplies. And we're also experiencing the impact of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, as well as weather events such as El Nino. The sudden announcement of this export ban triggered panic buying in the United States. That sent the price of rice soaring to a near 12-year high, according to the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization. It does not apply to basmati rice, which, by the way, is India's best known and highest quality variety. But non-basmati white rice accounts for about 25% of exports. India wasn't the first country to ban food exports to ensure that they had enough supply for domestic consumption, but its move definitely came at a bad time. Just 1 week after Russia pulled out of the Black Sea grain deal that was supposed to allow the export of grain from Ukraine. So now what? I think this says it best. The main thing here is that it's not just one thing. Rice, wheat, and corn crops that make up the bulk of food which poor people around the world consume. And what happens is one part of the globe can have a ripple effect right here at home. I mean, just imagine if people in Asia suddenly started loving wheat-based products like bread and pasta, or corn-based goodies like cornflakes and tortillas because of a rice shortage. Well, that surge in demand would not just impact Asia. It would send shock waves across the globe. Prices of wheat and corn would go up not just in Asia, but right here in the good old US of A. And when everyone worldwide starts clamoring for these alternative grains, it affects what you find on the grocery store shelves. Suddenly, that loaf of bread or those wheat-based snacks, they become a lot pricier. And it's not just about the cost. This shift in global food preferences can mess with trade relationships and even lead in the changes in trade policies. Now, that could have some serious indirect effects on our economy. Supply chain problems could pop up, messing with how food is made, moved, and delivered. Now, that could lead to some logistical headaches and, you guessed it, even higher prices for various food items right here in the good old US of A. So the big takeaway here is this. Our food supply chain is kind of like a giant web, and whatever happens far away can easily affect us right here at home. And so this is exactly why we need to keep an eye on food security, and this is why you have me giving you guys the latest updates 24/7.